I see the live.
Hello, hello. Yeah, just waiting for it to queue up. Come on. Come on. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Ooh,
It's Thursday night.
we're looking good.
Yep, yep. Oh, there's my phone going off. We are officially like rolling. Rolling. It's Thursday night. We are resilient. We are war with Army National Guard veteran, military police, executive director, and founder of Hellfish Haven, Michael Geary. I'm Travis, Marine Corps veteran, host of Oscar Mike Radio, coming at you live. If you're a field dane somewhere in the Marine Corps right now, maybe your staff sergeant will let you listen to this while you're scrubbing those floors. But it's Thursday night. It's out of sight right here. We got Jimmy James from Colorado checking in. Jimmy, how you doing, brother? Um, it's all good. Mike, what's up? No brace tonight, Mike. That must be. Do you feel? Does your neck feel like lighter with it off? I know mine would be like.
Like sometimes I have to wear it while I sleep too, so it's like I'll go like 12, 13 hours with it on, and then it just feels like somebody's strangling me by the end of the day. So it's like I feel like I just got to take this hour to kind of relax, and if you occasionally see my hand, grab that, it's just I'm still good.
All right, good. Jimmy James says he's hanging in there. Well,
And
good.
then I do have a funny story because you were just talking about marine scrub and stuff.
Okay,
And so we all talk a little bit of a different language between the services.
true.
And so there's a Marine standing outside the latrine for us with, the restroom. And, he kept telling the soldiers that were going into the bathroom that the head is secure. And soldiers just kept going right in past him. And like he's getting pissed off and we didn't understand why. And finally I asked my buddy like a couple of days later, I was like, what was he talking about? He's like, it was clean, you dicks. You shouldn't have gone in there. It was closed. And he's like, oh, why didn't you just say that? And then I guess, the head is secure means it's
Yeah,
clean and closed.
yeah.
I,
Secure, that motivation means to lock it up. Secure means to lock things down. That's just the way it is. Well, you
yeah,
learn something in Marine speak.
I,
Um,
I felt like the dumb army guy at that point. I was like, ooh, I felt bad for that. The full lance corporal was just sitting there being like, why are you guys doing this to me?
Army, Army. So, anything else going on?
Yeah, get the IW hike on Saturday,
Yeah, yeah.
and then on Sunday there is the Special Splaney 5K Rucker Run in Drake.
All kinds of
So
stuff going on, man. All kinds of
we're
stuff going on.
putting some mileage on those the Heel Toe Express this weekend.
It's a good one, man. I haven't heard that one. That's a good one. I got to remember that one. The Heel Toe Express. Um, so let's just go for a half hour tonight because we had people lined up, and I get it. It's a nice day, and you're trying to enjoy every day because, of course, Mike, tomorrow night at 4 p.m. rain, and Saturday rain.
Mm-hmm. It
Thursday's
returns.
right. It's kind of like we're gonna tease you on Thursday and then dash any hopes and dreams you had of enjoying your time off on the weekend and be beautiful weather Monday morning. Yeah, yeah. Um, one thing I want to get your take. I'm gonna pop this here in the chat. Is this story from WCVB about this guy with his service dog, and they got turned away at an Airbnb. And I've gotten a lot of feedback about this and didn't know
Jose
if you.
just heard service dog, so he's like, let's find out what we're talking about here.
Yeah, yeah. Take a minute, check it out. His name is Steve Bone, and he was. They're getting married this weekend, so take a minute, look at it. Be very interested to see what you think and what's going on here.
Absolutely, taking a peek. All right, so staying in Harwich down Cape Cod. Jose does picking up the keys or medication bottles or wallet if I drop it. So I definitely know like, the third line there where it's like the little tests, can be an issue and how they can help out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because that's one thing that Delta Dog did was they made sure not only could Jose do the tests that I needed, but he could do a couple extra if I ever need them down the road. I dig the name Orion for the service dog.
Oh, really?
The 27th Brigade is named after Major General Orion, and they use the constellation Orion for their patch.
Oh,
So it's
that's
got
pretty
the
cool.
NYD, and then it's got the stars around it in the shape of the constellation. So the company's going to cover the cost of stay, but that doesn't, it's still ruin their time.
Now, some people were talking about the fact that the Airbnb host or something was like allergic to dogs or something, and that's why the dog couldn't stay there. But I didn't think if you had a valid service dog, they could bar entry from a,
Any place that the public is granted access to, except for a church or like one of the places, a church and something else, are the only two places that they can, you know, say that they can't accept the service dog to be in there. And but any other place that allows public access to it, they have to allow it. It's just like if you to roll up in a wheelchair or you're using crutches because you busted an ankle. You're not going to go through the door and they're going to say, "Hey, you can't use that medical device," because that's really truly what these dogs are to guys like me that that have a service dog is they are a medical device.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, some people told me it's a matter of education about the whole story. Some people said, it's just despicable that this happened in the first place.
It definitely did. The person should have been able to call Airbnb to talk to them and say what is their policy on it, because I actually had a Lyft driver one night. I was supposed to go to do a part of a relay for the Five Firefighter Foundation. Sorry, it's a tongue twister every time I say that. Five Firefighter Foundation. They were doing a relay from all the ways up in Maine, all the ways down to DC, and you hand off the baton to the next runner in line, and it goes from firehouse to firehouse. I was supposed to go uh, a couple towns over to meet at the firehouse in Salem when I was living in Swampscott, and the Lyft driver that pulled up saw my dog and said, "Oh hell no," and drove away.
Hmm.
And like if you go into like Lyft policies, you can actually see like that in the policy that Lyft says cannot deny you for having your service dog. And there's two questions that you can ask when you see somebody with a service dog is is that a is it a service dog there to perform a function, and and what function will it perform, or what is there anything that the personnel that are running the place or own the place need to do if the dog reacts or indicates something.
Yeah, Jimmy James says it's sad to see this. However, we have what it takes to do the right thing. However, it's these issues that help our civilian folks understand what that looks like. We are always being put on blast. ADA law and being allergic is not a valid reason. Sorry, he's been there. And Barry Estes says, as long as the dog is acting right. So, I understand you got a business to run and everything, but I also am like, well, you're not bringing that dog for just, to bring the dog. That dog's serving a purpose. You said there's a medical device, right, Mike?
Yeah, so the dog is basically treated as a medical device in this situation. It's not a pet. It's not just a dog. That dog is considered a medical device to people that are using a service dog. It's just like you wouldn't take a blind guy walking with a cane tapping on the street. You wouldn't kick it out of the way and say I'm sorry, you can't have that in here. And Or the same thing, you're not gonna have a guy that's on crutches. You're not gonna take the crutches away and say I'm allergic to those metals. You can't have that in here.
Right, right.
So as long as the public is granted access to the space, you have to accommodate for it.
And Jimmy's come back saying exactly. So, he's lived it, you're living it, and you've had experience with it. It was just an interesting story, and I think it's there's a new veterans nonprofit, fairly new. They've been unofficial for the last couple of years, and now they're official, called "I Got Your 6'2" Lives at Once," and they're taking dogs from pounds and training them as service dogs. And I think this is one of the things you'll see them do, is to try to add a real educational component to out what they do, so civilians understand, and they can be better informed, and so we don't have this happen.
And definitely, people have taken advantage of the leniency of the law. The law doesn't say that you have to have an ID card. The law doesn't say that you have to have the dog in a vest. You could literally have the dog, in his birthday suit, and you're walking around, and somebody says, "Is that a service dog?" You say yes. They have to take you for its word. But like Barry said, it's got to be acting right. The dog can't be, defecating on the floor. It can't be, ripping, snacks off the shelf. It still has to behave. And if it doesn't behave, that's when they can ask you, to leave the property due to the trouble that the dog is causing.
Sure, sure. Elsa, good evening. Elsa checking in on war. Thank you very much, out in Western Mass. Really appreciate you.
And do you know what the other type of animal that is allowed to be a service animal is?
No,
A mini horse.
get out.
Yep. So service dogs and mini horses are the only approved service animals by the ADA.
I mean, I guess you could do a mini horse. I mean, transport a mini horse down to Dunks for a large ice cream only might be, logistical feat. But okay, okay. So the mini horse, huh?
Yep. And then the dog has to perform a task or a function as well. The dog. So you've got the and like what the last maybe 10 years you started having the rise of the emotional support animal.
Yeah.
And people bringing like squirrels on planes and things like that.
Right.
People got real crazy with it for a while. And they really had to make that separation of hey, this is what we've got here. You've got the service animal, and so the service animal has to be you know trained to do something, like whether they remind them to take the medication, or if it's trained to lick their hand to alert them of an oncoming panic attack. Like Jose will come up for me for like when my anxiety gets up. Like Jose will come and he'll give me his chin. So he puts his chin and pops it right up on my lap,
Yeah.
and that's his trigger for me to say, take a minute, just you'll be all right.
Well, cool, man. Just a really interesting thing that happened, and kind of wanted to get your take on it. And now,
When
I
does
w-
I got your six two eyes at once? Uh, are they going live? I see it in the corner up there.
oh yeah, well, it's they got their EIN number. Um, they're having an event October 7th. The website's going to be finished in the next week, so it's just full steam ahead. They've already given away, like 4 dogs, and so, like anybody else, and you know how it is. You're just trying to get started and get yourself going. So it's a really exciting time for them. Um, Let me share my screen. Let's see if I can do this right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You want to talk about this gentleman here, Mike? And
Yep.
what's the story with this?
So
This,
Specialist
this
Jack
here.
Pereira.
Okay.
He passed away 10 years ago, October 1st, 2013. He was one of the 22, and was one of the first that the battalion of MPs really had, that when everybody went to the service, the commander pulled everybody aside and said, hey, remember the feeling you're feeling today, and you don't want to, put somebody else in that situation. Make sure you call somebody. Make sure you're checking on your buddies and everything like that. And that kind of ties into the month that we're in right now, where it is suicide awareness month, and then you've got a buddy check that's happening this week for a lot of organizations that are affiliated with the VA. And the buddy check is just simply picking up the phone, giving your guys that we're in the service with just a quick little hello, quick little text, just to, say, hey man, how you doing? Because they basically say that within the hour, if somebody makes up their mind they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it. And you basically, if you can get in there and interject, or you can push, a train of thought one way or the other, that can make such a difference. And that's why there are other programs out there, like making sure that any firearms are secure and under lock in your home, so that way it just adds an additional layer and step to the process of them having. And then that right there was the card from his services, and I made a shadow box for his dad. And those are Jack's awards under there, the units that we started with overseas. And that green hellfish that you see up at the top
Yep.
is Jack was coming home from his R&R, his 2 week leave during our tour 09-10, and we saw he saw the hellfish, and he was like, "Hey, that's Sergeant Geary's, call sign." And so him and another soldier went up to the Air Force colonel that was running the hellfish down there in Balad Air Force Base, and he gave them a coin, and Jack came up and gave it to me. So I only saw it fitting to, return it to his family and pop it in there. But it was just kind of neat to see, like, there's a green hellfish out there that is part of the Air Force's heraldry now.
Wow. Wow. Eric, with Contagion Effect out of California, checking in. Eric, how's it going? You're up tonight too. Jimmy's talking to Elsa and us about how ADA laws and people who don't take it seriously in time of need. So you're coming up on 10 years of this person that you knew, served with, slept with, ate with, being gone, man. I mean, does it still hit you in the feels 10 years later as it did right when it happened?
It does, and it just shows that it could happen to anybody, because Jack was one of those kids that really was like someone that can walk into a room and just lay it up. He was a straight shooter, from the South Shore, like, just like, and we were with a unit of guys that were all from Western Mass, so it was like a little clash of personalities, but like he just got right in there and let people know what was going on, and he just wanted to be around his buddies that, like, he went through training with and everything. And when I first met him, he was taking his time slowly getting off of a bus, and I was getting frustrated with him, because I'm like, you're slowing everybody down. We're trying to get off this bus and go to training. What are you doing? And so the first time he met me, he actually didn't like me at all. And so we had a couple words, and then his sergeant made sure to reprimand him for that. And then later, come down the road, we became good buddies. Came over to my house, got some grilling done. And then actually the day before he left, he come over the house, and I was wearing like I think it was a 762 T-shirt. Like, that shows you, the 10 years ago when the 762 shirts were all the rage.
Yep.
And I was wearing one, and like, he's like, "Sergeant Gear, I really like that." And I took it off, and I was like, "George, then." You're just that kid that would do anything for you, that you wanted to do anything for him in return. And like, was always just there with a smile and a joke, and would be out there for us. And like, even the unit, like, after he passed, a bunch of guys from the unit went to a football game to support his sister that she was cheerleading in, that she was, really nervous about going to without her brother being there. And like, there's a whole lot of things that like it just shows you the human side of it all, and like the actual cost that suicide has had among our ranks. And unfortunately, Jack hasn't been the last one in the battalion that's gone down this road. And we're just trying to do what we can out there. All these events, all these organizations. We just want to show people the camaraderie. It may feel like it's lost, but it's not really.
Right.
And even the Hellfish Haven logo, if you look at the top of it, let me see if I can get a close one. Just throwing stuff, don't mind me. But if you look at the top of the Hellfish in the helmet, you'll see the Iron Man logo.
Oh yeah.
And the Iron Man logo with the circle and the X. He had an Iron Man mask that he brought on deployment with him, and he had that drawn on it, the circle and the X. And so when we were doing the artwork for the Hellfish, I knew that I had to throw that in there for Jack up there top.
Well, hey man, I mean, it's people you meet like that, and their memory never goes away, and it's 10 years later, a full decade, and I'm sure you ask yourself questions about why and what could have happened and what would it be like now. But I think the main thing is, by doing what we're doing right now, that memory's never gone.
And that's the big thing is showing that resiliency, and showing that that these terrible things have happened, but we can still keep going, and instead of taking it and being devastated for the rest of our lives about it, we just know that we got an extra person looking out for us, and we that we know that we can still honor their life as long as we carry on and and remember their name. Like the best thing I ever said was a person dies twice. Once when their physical body dies, and then once when no one talks about them anymore.
True.
And so as long as we keep their name alive and their story alive, and share that, they'll keep going.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, it's just good to be reminded, to me, about why we do things like war, why Hellfish Haven exists, some of the things around Oscar Mike Radio, and you see that and you realize, well, hey, again, and we talked about this, if what we're doing on a Thursday night before my show, comes on, helps one person out or gives somebody just a little bit of room to breathe during their hectic week when everything's going right or wrong, then great, man, we've accomplished that.
And the other thing too is, I saw there was something posted online about the Ride 22 truck.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Did you want to talk about that? Because I saw that you tagged me in it, and what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's it's a damn shame that people are overextending themselves to these people that are out there literally doing it. Like they're out there being at these events, they're out there making sure that these these memories and these names are carried on, and they have people going up to them, extending themselves to them, saying hey, we'll reach out to you on Monday, and we're going to do this, and we're going to help you with this, and we're going to do this for you. And then none of it materializes, and it's just like it would be better off if they just said, "Hey, thank you for what you're doing. I appreciate you," and just left it at that, instead of overextending themselves to these promises and these things. And it does, the person that's doing the act, it's tough because you think that you're gonna have all the support, and then all of a sudden you don't, and it's and it is a struggle. And nonprofits are fighting for each dollar they get. There's no magic VA fairy that's gonna come and put money under our pillows if our teeth fall out.
No, no, no. I mean, I had met William, Bill Sheridan, in Manchester, New Hampshire at that ride, and I'm like, okay, the truck is completely self-funded. And you know, some cynical person's going to sit there and say, well, no one's asking him to do this. But that's not the point. You know, you watch people who've lost family members to the 22, you know, see that name on that vehicle, and it's something else. And you know, I get it. When you're self-funded, self-motivated, self-doing it, taking your weekend time to go to these things, to show up when people ask you to, I agree with you, man. If you're not going to follow through on what you say, don't offer anything. And you know, sometimes my people are trying to be nice, like, yeah, bro, I'll help you out, or let me know if you need anything. And you can tell sometimes when it's just like just something they're trying to be nice about. But I think you're onto something. If you're not going to follow through, you probably should just say thank you and leave it at that.
Yeah, because you're just doing, you're harming, everything that's happening. Like, instead of just encouraging that person to to keep at their best, you're filling them with these false hopes and aspirations of being able to take it to the next level, or being able to add a new name on that truck. And instead, now they're telling these family members that, hey, we're going to be able to add the new name, or we're going to be able to do this. And then all of a sudden, weeks go by and it's crickets. And it's like, now it's tough because people like me, we take that stuff personally. When we make a promise to a family, or you have something that you want to do, and somebody says they'll help you with it, and then they disappear. It's like, that really sucks, because it's like you're looking forward to being able to accomplish that, and do more with it.
And you're right. You go out there, you put yourself out there, and you talk to some people. Some people come up and shake your hand. I'm going to help you out, bro. Call me Monday. You call them up, and it's like voicemail, or no message at all, or okay, hey, I'm busy right now. I'll get back to you. And you know, 2 months later, you realize that they were never serious in the first place, and it kind of, you know, takes you aside. So I get what he was articulating when he said that, and you know, to me, you're right. It's hard not to take that stuff personally. It's very hard.
Yeah, and I just just wanted to chime in there and let them know that even not meeting them personally, but just from watching the videos, and seeing the relatives, and seeing the people reading the names, and you can just hear it in their voices as they're they're reading it and they're unveiling it, that what that means to them.
Right, right. Well, it is about 7:30, man. We're gonna try to have somebody on for next week, or um, I think what we're gonna do is probably do what we talked about. I think the next couple of weeks, if we could go down and do like a basic, you know, how to look up a charity, look through 990. It's getting close to Veterans Day, and people are gonna be, you know, asking for money, and it's a
Yeah,
prime time to,
and
you know,
especially where Barry's talking about it in the comments right now, how you've got these organizations out there, parading to be somebody that they're not. So it's definitely good to know what is real and what's not. Especially when it comes to dogs. Like I said, the laws are so open right now that anybody can say that they have a service dog, versus actually if it is a service dog.
yep,
So
yep.
I think
Well,
that would be a great chance to be able to educate folks, and share our, our knowledge and stuff over the next couple of weeks.
yeah, because there's organizations, service dog. Well, they'll give you a dog, and yeah, we gave you a dog. You got a puppy now, great. And okay, puppies are good. Puppies are great, but puppies are a lot of work, man. A lot of freaking work. I believe what. Wow, 100% covered by the VA. That's fantastic, because a lot of guys don't get that. They've got to. But I think what IGY6 is trying to do is take a rescue dog from a pound, and then get a certified trainer to work with that animal to make sure it meets the requirements. So there's this whole vetting process or whatever. But you know, Barry is right. I mean, you gotta look at what's going on, so you know who to support. Keith Hayes of Sinister One Productions checking in. Hello, Keith. How's it going? So yeah, I just think some things like that, where we talk about charities, we talk about, how to look at a 990, how to look at things like, a rescue dog organization to help you make a better decision about where to put your money.
Absolutely, especially with how much things have gone up in prices. Going to the grocery store, how much everything's costing these days. People are valuing their dollar and want to make sure that it's going to the right organization and it's not just going to Uncle Steve's slush fund.
True, true, true. All right, so we will see you all next week. We may have somebody on, or we may just start our series. It's great getting to come on Thursday night with you. In about 30 minutes, it's time for Oscar Mike Radio um, with Christine Walker of Devil Doc Publishing, a Navy corpsman who started her own publishing company and her veterans magazine at ease. So pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Barry says he only pays for food. Everything else the VA pays for. Well, then Barry, you do have a legit service dog for the VA to cover it. Fantastic. Yeah, Jimmy, I definitely understand. It's something else. It's something else. So again, I am Travis with Oscar Mike Radio, joined by Michael Geary of Hellfish Haven. Together, we are resilient. We are WAR. You are resilient. You are awesome. And we will see you next week. Thank you very much.
Everybody, thanks. Have a great night, and I'll see you in the chat.